Yeah, so Peter, welcome out to my place. This place is called Kuranda, my place here. My little piece of freedom away from Touristville in Kuranda, you know. Born here, up around up the river a bit at Mariba back in Mana days. And, you know, you come out here to talk about Kuranda. It's only a very young township, you know, uh, in the white man world, so to speak. I am a traditional owner of this area here on this side of the Barron River. My country resides mainly out from Speewah out to Davies Creek. That's where my family used to do their run. And on the way down to Redlinch, and where we have other members of our families down that end belonging to different clan groups, family groups, brothers, to talk about myself and what I experienced in this town growing up. It's been a challenge. Personally, I feel like I've been through almost 3 lives already, you know, with the different eras that have taken place. And I feel lucky to survive those 3 eras in my lifetime anyway, from the 60s. I have a very good memory from the days before we went to school and just across the river here over at Oak Forest. My grandfather, Willie Brim, he used to, some of my earliest memories of him were saying, kids, the preacher's coming, run. And so we just took off down to the bush, and we hid out there until we could hear that old putt car going back into Kuranda. And see, the battle of growing up in the 60s was for me, was the stories that were coming from my elders versus the Christian element, which I thought was normal, you know, because you grow up with this all around you until you're old enough to make a decision on, like anything, right and wrong. And so listening to the stories that were told to me by my elders it affected me so much that I remember those stories, and till today. And a lot of those stories were simple little stories like, again, some of my earliest memories there are, you're so lucky now growing up this time, because when we was kids we had to eat Chinaman. And I could take you to some of these places actually where the Chinamen were hung up by their hair and ready to be eaten by our people because of what we were forced into. And that affected me because I thought, wow, you know, like why this was taking place versus, you know, the teachings of, because the Christian era was so strict. In the time of growing up, we used to look towards the mountains on a Friday and watch that sun. Say, don't go down, but it went down, and then the Sabbath rule fell in, and we couldn't be ourselves, so we had to be this other person. And one day a week, and then you were taught, you know, like the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Luke, Mark, King, 1st, 2nd Samuel, you know, it goes on, and then you were tested. And me being gifted somewhat, and in memory, I used to rattle it off to the old fellas, and I used to get in trouble for it, and the disciplining in those era was of brutality. I mean, it was quite, you know, cuts, whacks, broomsticks, saplings. Those were the sorts of treatment that was there to break the spirit, I feel, of children and young adults. And that was an era that ruled right up into the mid-70s. But, you know, like the late 60s, And the other side of Christianity of that time was putting up with our local farmers, which weren't very friendly to the Aboriginal people. You know, like we were always called little bludging black bludgers and didn't even know what the word meant, and sworn at. We didn't know what swearing was. And then when we start to use that same language as we're older, we go to jail for it. You know, this is language what you're taught, so-called taught, and then you try and use that language against the ones who actually spoke it to you, and then, you know, those are things that we try and work out as, hey, what's going on around us here?
Did you ever find any connection between the traditional messages from the side there and the Christian message? Was there anything that ever the two were similar about?
Well, the only thing I found, no, there was nothing, really. Really, you know, because in the Christian belief, we start to talk about some of our animals that we were eating, like the ducks and the fish, and they said it was unchristian, like to eat certain species, and yet they come here with the pig, the most filthiest animal of all, you know. And I grew up eating every bird species that were not sacred, you know, so we were taught about sacred, and with the birds we'd eat, and then we'd bring the feathers home for the old ladies, and then the old ladies used to make feather flowers. I mean, Auntie Marita, there was old lady Adonik, Auntie Granny Sarah, Granny Martha, Auntie Heather, all the loved ones of, you know, the grand old aunties of Kuranda that survived the mission era, and they were, you know, they were just full of love for us as kids growing up around Kuranda. You know, there's some Christian elements that I found maybe you can call parallel, like the gatherings when we got together as big family groups and at our Christmas parties and at an oak forest, and that was really a time of togetherness and happiness and fun, where all the families come together, and that's the only thing I found. Because outside that, I mean, with us, we love to dance, and when we dance for 3 days and nights, and that's something that Christian people find hard to swallow. You know, late 60s, we had a bloke moving by the name of Roger Quinn, and he had a son named Timothy. He was my age, so regardless, he was a white boy with blonde hair. We got on very well because, you know, Kuranda's a small town in those days. I can remember when I was 10, there was we did a survey, and there was just over 300 people living in and around Kuranda when we were the kids. So so we were the 60s generation, and then the 70s, and the hippies came to Kuranda. The hippies, I mean, you know, hippies. You know, who were they? And that questioned me, even as a young fella. I just think, you know, where did they come from? Because they're not the same like these farmers, and they're not like these Christians. And yet they come here, and their dress code was next to nothing, and their swimwear was nothing. You know, so I often think about my granddad, you know, because he was sent to Mona Mona, and our family with my grandfather and his sister and his mum and dad were the last of the Aboriginal people of this area to be sent to Mona Mona. So our family group was the last in and first out. And, you know, like for Granddad to be forced to wear clothes, and when he come out and say, now you're going to act like a white man, then we're living on the river. We go to the river for a swim and get our water and do the washing, because the river gave us everything as well in those days. A lot of people depended on that river, the Barron River. It was our life source. As a kid in the 70s, the shop wasn't on in 60s. It wasn't there because of the river. And the trees and the knowledge of our grannies kept us there. But the hippies came and started swimming around here in numbers, all with no clothes on, and so, wow, what are these? Who are they? Are they the spirits of our ancestors? Because they're so free-loving. They didn't care. But they seem to get on well with us more than the Christians and the farmers. So we got on very well. And I've made friends with the children. We're still friends today. And I class myself as a black hippie, many times because of that early connection. And because there weren't no other connection to our people, bar the Christians, the rednecks, and the police, who just seemed to be there just to lock us up for speaking their tongue. Then hippies sort of gave us freedom. I mean, I loved it.
Who were some of the people that you first
Oh, the
hooked up with?
hippies, Roger, our next-door neighbour, to me, he was a hippie. To me, he was the king of the hippies, because he was the first sort of cool old dude to come into Kuranda, Brian Clark. And, then the Rainbow House Band with Jeb Buck and his wife. They were all the original hippies here, and Gail Hannah, I think her name is, and many times, going to school on the train, the hippie girls be down there having their morning swim, so you can imagine what sort of, with all the teenage boys going to high school, and, it's like reading a live Playboy on the way to school. Anyway, that's what the hippies brought us, a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, It just broke us out of that sort of shackling chain of the Christian and the era of the rednecks and the farmers, the way that they mistreated us and had a total disliking for us, so to speak.
And that feeling way back then is still just as alive and well now, isn't it?
Yes. Amazingly, my family still get sometimes death threats over the phone, and I said, "Oh, it's still not over. Gee whiz, don't they realise?" We started, with the hippie movement here. Then they allowed music. The change of music came. With the music, because we were just used to Christian music, on with Christian soldiers marching, or my broken heart, stuff like that. And so we said, oh, here's Jingo. Then they brought in jazz and bluegrass and blues and just a total different array of music. And we loved it. We, just to go and join in and participate in some of the dances that used to take place with their band, the Rainbow House Country Band. So with that inspired myself and a few of my brothers like Irwin Raleigh, Albie Bird, Ashley Coleman, Alvin Duffin, to James Brim, Maxie Snyder, bless their souls, James and Max. But to get music happening for the indigenous community. Mantaka was my home, and I was the songwriter in Mantaka band, even though I was the youngest member of the band, and being the youngest member, that took a bit of challenge in its own. Growing up in the 70s and 80s, of course, you always had to respect, and it came at age, and you weren't allowed in the circles to even drink alcohol or even to smoke a cigarette unless you were of age. And that's something of a law that I find should be remaining today, but, 87 we started a dance theatre up here, Jabberguy Dances. Again, that was a big challenge in the days. We always had the concept of creating some sort of indigenous show here from us to present to tourists, because, you remember Uncle Alfie? Well, Uncle Alfie and like Uncle Of the days there used to be Russell, Roy, all those days attract a lot of tourist attention and often get money just for their photos. So there's more to just the facial image that we could offer these people who are coming. These people who are coming into our country, so we thought about a dance theatre. Or having a dance just in the grass next to Mumbai was the first concept. Me and Uncle Lynn and Donnie Freeman turned up. And
how did that all happen?
Well, I don't know, because Donnie Freeman, he was just, I didn't know him at the time, or his wife Judy. And it's only one day they were looking for some actors for a play that they were putting on about the Cooktown Gold Rush, and Pa McCabe, a character who used to run a brothel up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did that, and they had Irwin Riley, Mario Williams as part of their characters, and David Hudson. So one day I was sitting, I used to work up at Mumbai Farm. Me and Uncle Lynn, me and him used to manage that farm, and I walked in the door, and Uncle Lynn was sitting there yarning with Don Freeman, and Don said, "Oh, you should talk to this fella. You want to get something going?" And so he spoke to me about a dance theatre and stuff, and putting a play together, a total Aboriginal one. Right up my alley, so I said, let's go for it. And so we got a Dion Riley, Neville Hobler, Wayne Nichols, Irwin Riley, Dave Hudson, myself. Who am I missing out? There was number 7. Albie Baird. How can I forget Albie? We would have, we did comedy in it, and we did some serious natures.
What was it called?
Odyssey. The Odyssey You'll Ever See was the play that he put on about Pa McCabe. But this one here with us, it took us about 12 weeks to piece it all together. And we had elders there present, Granny Danny Coleman, and the other elder come from Granny Maggie Donahue. They were a guidance through this process of not going over the law and what we're going to deliver, because we do have our own laws on what you can and what you can't deliver when it comes to dance, songs. To your family, yes, but not to outsiders. You can give them a piece, but don't give them all.
Yeah.
So, as you know, that worked very well, and we just, it just ran like a dream, honestly. The way we dedicated ourselves and our heart to this cultural revival in Kuranda, and the biggest thing that really struck me, Peter, was the fact that we started, our old ladies were a big fan of Days of Our Lives, which was a daytime soapy or something, they call it. They threw that away to come and watch us dance every day. So, again, wow. So we knew, again, the old ladies, they're the ones that gave us the go-ahead as young men to do what we were doing. So,
I was there, I think, your opening show,
the
thing there, right? And I think the thing that struck everyone was this, we all sort of thought, the indigenous culture, it would be very...
Yeah.
And then suddenly you just have everyone rolling in the aisles.
Yep.
And just think, hey, these people are having a bit of a laugh at themselves. And that was just brilliant.
Yeah, well, we are funny people, and we love to be funny, and if you get to know us... properly, because we know that laughter is a cure as well as a medicine.
And how about when you then all took off to the States and Europe and did the whole globe?
Well, again, because we're doing so well here, the challenge now was to take this out to the world and show the world exactly what we have. So Qantas, being a world airliner, they sponsored us, and So we did a world tour. And, world tour starting off in the States, going right through the States, and then across to Germany, going through Europe, and back down through England, and then through Singapore, and then to Thailand, and then home. Then back off again. It become a regular. I've been through one.
Walkabout.
Yeah, walkabout, man. Talk about walkabout, flyabout, man.
Flyabout. And really.
And it was that crazy that I filled up 1.5 passports in my passport books of. There was a stage there travelling on the airplane. To me, was like catching a bus to work.
Yeah.
So. That just helped me and my wife establish what we do have here now for our family.
Yep.
Using the what's available out there that you earn from your work, and our work has always been based on culture. Well, my work anyway, in particular, and music, my greatest love.
And Willie, how about Jabberwocky put Kuranda on the map?
Oh, we certainly did, like with the dance theatre. And everybody wanted to be a Jabberwocky, So that was wonderful for this area and for the Jabberwocky people, so to speak. All people, because the Yarrabah people, the Gunganjis, the Yirraganjis, Bulawangis, the Mulurujis, Yalanjis all started really moving forward. Laura Dance Festival, yes, all that I feel is a reflection of the work that has come from what we've done with culture, and teaming up with non-indigenous people to achieve a barrier breaking, force that's out there,
And what about
a lack of understanding, and then we get out and tell people, exactly. Of course, the world knows about Aboriginal people, but the Aboriginal people, we know about that outer world as well. But the reality is for us to get out there and travel, and for us, one of the main reasons I love to travel, and particularly to places like, it doesn't matter, Hawaii, or just up to Guam, Americas, way up into Canada. On that side of the world, it's amazing to find that they honestly believe that we are their fathers, the Aboriginal people. You see? Now, you won't read about this stuff, but when you go and start speaking to the cultural people of each area, that's a different story, and that's the Aboriginal story. And there's people like us who are aware, because of what we talk about and how we share with other people when we're there, and we do it with culture, and which is a common thing in all lands across the planet. And to be considered one, apart from the Africans, there ain't no older culture. And with us, we know that we are. And time will tell what I'm saying too, that we are the world's oldest people and culture. And it's only till now that, through the help of technology, like we try and express ourselves through the dance theatre using modern technology and morphings of our ancestors, what we're told that they could do. And as I said, Dreamtime is now just being woken up to by this world only through technology. They can see what we're actually talking about. Because beyond technology, they have no human perception on how we really think and who we really are as a race of people. We've never ever been given that freedom to express and to really practice our religion since the coming of the white man here. But that what we did with the theatre opens the gates again for communities to rethink themselves and individual family groups. And the future of Kuranda, you will see us sharing that cultural experience and practices with people who are non-indigenous, because the spirit is the spirit, regardless of your color. Your spirit is your spirit. It has no color. But while you are in a certain area, in a spiritual land such as Australia, they identify you in that area.
And that's what we're doing right now, isn't it, Willie?
Exactly, exactly.
Everyone can see it.
Yes. So it's the practice I always do with my boys as musicians as well. We go to the mountains before we go anywhere. Why? To get spiritual uplifting. And that's what our mountains provide. So next time you speak to me, I'd like you to come to the mountains, and I'll give you another insight into Willie Brim's Aboriginal world, because it's alive and well, and that's something I've been trying to maintain and look after for many years on my own. But now I have a Lions Club, a Bulwai Cultural Heritage Lions Club, the very first of its kind in Australia or anywhere else in the world, as a matter of fact. And let's see what Willie Brim can do with that one.